Okay, hey everyone. So today we're gonna talk about Git and how to edit Git history. We're gonna go from the basics and then cover the history changing aspects. So you probably, let me know in the comments, are you currently working with Git and what is your proficiency level? How would you assess yourself regarding the Git skills? So today we're going to use, let's say, React boilerplate example to have some files to change them and to have some example to work with when we'll learn Git commands. So let's generate a new React application. Git example. Let's see, it's being generated. The good thing about Create React App is that it will also create a Git, initialize the Git repo for us. Generating. Hey Gary. So we're gonna start now. We have an example repo. If you go to Git example, you will see that it has a master branch. It has one commit. You can also see what was done in this commit using command git show. And let's start from the basics. So first thing that is important to understand about Git is that it operates in three different dimensions or three different trees. First one is the state of the files on the disk, the local file tree. This is what you see here. It's what files do exist right now in your working directory. Another one are staged files. And this is something, so for example, let's say, right now all the files are staged. Everything you see here, except for files that are listed in gitignore, they're staged, and Git knows about them. So staged files are something that Git knows about. In the gitignore file, you can specify which files should be ignored by Git. This is why it's called gitignore. And usually it is something that either is very sensitive, like private keys, or usually it's private keys, or it just doesn't make sense to store it in the main repo, main server, main Git server, or just upload and download it using Git. For example, in case of React development, it's node modules folder, because the contents can be quite large and it just doesn't make sense to share them, because it's quite easy to just reinstall everything if you have the yarn log or package.json and package.json log files. Okay, no, 3 minutes late. Yeah, I've just started. For those who just joined, no, I can't. Milan, please write. Let me know what is your Git proficiency level. How would you assess yourself regarding your Git skills? And everyone else in the chat, let me know how do you think? How good are you with Git? Just curious. So let's go. What I was talking about. So we have a gitignore that prevents the files from being staged. So for example, if I try to, let's say, touch a new file, the Linux command touch creates a file. Let's call it example. You see that we have it here now. If we show git status, you will see that it is untracked. So Git is aware that it exists in the file system, but it doesn't know that. But it doesn't know. But it is not tracking the changes in it yet. So we can add it to the staged files by using the command that Git tells us here, git add example. And this is probably familiar to you. If you worked with Git at least for a little while, you probably know the commands git add, git commit, git pull, git push, maybe git checkout if you want to have different branches. So let's go one by one. Now we've added this file. I said git add example. I've created a file, added it to stage, and now if I run git status, you will see that it is now staged. You can unstage it using this command that git shows, but also I believe that you can do it using git reset. And then if you run git status, it will be unstaged again. We will need it later, the git reset command. Git reset can reset any of the trees or the dimensions that we were talking about. The file system, the staged files, and committed files. It can reset any of those. And we'll need it later, when I will show how to edit the commit history. Let's say that we actually want to add this example file to staged files. So I do again, git add example, git status to see if it was added. Yes. Now I can create a new commit. Git commit. I created with the message. And messages should have some sensible information. What have we done here? Created an example file. Now if you show the log, you will see that we have two commits. One is initial, that was automatically generated by create React app, and another one is created by us. You can always see the contents of the commits by using the git show command. We copy the commit hash, paste it here, and you can see that we've created the example file. These are the changes. And the file is empty, so it doesn't show the added and removed lines because there are no lines in this file. It is just empty. For editing Git history, there is possible only to use Rebase, right? Yes, and today I'm going to show the Rebase interactive, Git Rebase interactive command. Also, when you're doing squash commit, you must do a rebase, so it will remove all your previous commits and instead create one big commit. Is it right? This is quite arguable. There are a lot of different opinions in the internet regarding this. The benefit of, let's say you're working in a separate branch, and then you made a bunch of commits, and you did a lot of commits that left your branch in an unworking state, in a broken state, and then you finished working, and now you have a huge list of commits that you want to reintegrate into master. And some of them, as I said, are breaking the code because you were just like committing something to move on, or like unstable state. This might be a problem because later on, when you debug your application, and maybe we should discuss another command, which is git bisect, which allows us to find bugs in the application, find the broken commits in the application, and you use this command, and some of the commits that came from another branch break it, it will be a problem. So this is an argument to actually squash the commits before merging, and then you just join all the changes from all those commits into one squashed commit, and then you merge it to the main branch that you have. So, in my opinion, it makes sense. You see my point, right? That when you work on a separate branch and you had some commits that it was fine to break the separate branch there, and you had the commits that would break it, and then you fixed everything, and then when you integrate it back, you actually don't want those breaking commits to be in the main branch. Thus, you squash it and then reintegrate the changes back into the master or like the main branch. in my opinion, it makes sense. There are people who say that you shouldn't do it and you should preserve the history how it was in the separate branch. I don't know. I would probably go with squashing the commits. It just makes it less likely to get stuck when you do git bisect. When working alone, is it a good practice to create a development branch and then make APR on main branch? You mean working with the feature branches? Yeah, of course it's a good practice. So let's say right now we have a React application. I've just created it using Create React App. And let's say we want to work on some feature for this application. Let's say we want to add a list of front-end frameworks to the main page. So what I would do now is git checkout b. This command creates a new branch, and then different people do it differently. Some people like to name their branches depending on what is it. So for example, at work we now call the branches this way. If it's a feature, so I'm adding some functionality, I will add feature slash what did I say? Add frameworks list. Now we are on the new branch. I can open the code editor. And now let's say I'm gonna go to the app.js, remove this layout, and instead add an unordered, what is happening? And add an unordered list of front-end frameworks. Let's say React, Vue, Solid, Svelte, Angular. What else? I don't know. Write in the comments what else would you like to add to this list. We can now go back, and as we've made the changes, we can see the Git status. We can see the difference between the changes that we've made and previous state by using command git diff. It shows all the differences in a form of a diff. Diff is a standard form of showing the differences, where it shows the lines that were removed with a minus and the lines that were added with a plus. So we can see what have been removed and what have been added. Then, if we are satisfied, we can say git add. Oh, and of course you can add the file name to this command, git diff, and let's say src index.js. This diff should be empty. Yeah, this diff is empty. We didn't change src index.js. But if you say src app.js, boom, you see the diff that we saw here, because we only changed the src app.js file. Okay, now we like what we've done, and we want to stage the changes. So we do git add, and right now I have only one file. I can edit only this one, git add src app.js, or I can just add everything, whatever it would be there, a bunch of files. Git add, and now if I see git status, you see that we now have staged file, kind of selected for the commit. Like, what do you want to commit? And you say git add this, and that, and then it kind of selects it to be able to commit those files later. But now if you say git diff, there is no difference, but you know that there are changes. And to see the staged changes, you can use an option, a flag, -- staged, git diff staged. And then we see the changes that we did here again. But now we have to specify that we want to see the staged changes, not the changes from the previous git state. Okay, now we're ready to make our commit. Git commit add you know what? Let's actually illustrate the problem, the squashing problem here. Let's make a typo. Let's go back here and forget the closing tag. It's broken now, the app is broken. I'm still gonna add it let's say I didn't test the application, which you should always do and make sure that it works, but just for the example. We do git add dot git status. We have it here, git commit add frameworks list. Now, let's say I realize that, oh, yeah, it's actually broken. I fix it, and then I go here and I want to do git add again, git status. We've changed this file again, git commit m. Now I've add the closing UL tag, git status. Now we have a bunch of commits. We have the add frameworks list that, as you remember, I intentionally broke. I've removed the slash on the closing UL tag. So if you want to merge it back to the main branch, then it probably would be a good idea to squash your commits first. And the first option would be to just do it on GitHub. Another one is to do it because when you create a pull request on GitHub, it allows you to squash the commits before merging from the web interface. Otherwise, if you do it, if I remember it correctly, then if you want to do it manually, then you will have to do it using the git reset. And here we come to the main topic of this stream, is changing the git history, because this is exactly what we want to do here. Before we merge our branch to main one, we want to change the history. There were two commits, we want to squash them into one. How can we do this? You do it using the command git rebase -i, which is interactive, and you will see what it means in a second. And then you need to specify the range of commits that you're interested in. So one way of doing it is to refer the head. The head is usually it's a reference, like a kind of a pointer. It is not a value on its own, it is just pointing at the tip of the current branch. So if the current branch is feature add frameworks list, then the head variable will hold the reference to the tip of it, like the latest commit in this branch. So we want to squash the commits. Is everyone following what is going on, right? No one is lost? Git rebase -i, git rebase interactive, and then you specify the range, which in our case is head, and from head I want, where is tilde? 2 commits. So here I say git rebase interactive, and perform this command on 2 commits starting with the head. And the head, as I said, is a pointer to the first commit in the current branch. We press enter, and look, this is what makes this command absolutely unique. You can do so many things here. First, you can squash, and we'll do it now. So you see a list of options that are available to you. If you keep the peek, then it will just do nothing. Basically, peeking is leaving the commit as it is. You can, optionally, just reorder the commits. Sometimes you might need it. Or you can use other optional prefixes to the commits here. We want to squash. It means that we keep the changes, but instead of keeping them in a separate commit, we merge them to the previous one. So let's say at the closing UL tag, I actually want to squash it with the frameworks list. Then I just write the changes, because this is an instance of Vim editor, and I just need to edit this thing, save it, and then it presents me another editor where I need to pick the message of the combined commit. And here I don't care anymore about fixing the closing UL tag because it's just a bug fix for that branch. I don't want to know about this bug fix in my main branch. It was only relevant for the feature branch. So I'm gonna just remove the add closing UL tag message. And the only useful thing that we did in that feature branch was adding the frameworks list. So we do :WQ, and if you do git log here now, you will see that on master there was created an example file that I touched, the file that I created using the touch command, and then on our branch we have, and it actually shows that here is where the changes from master end, and then we have changes on our branch, and it shows where is the tip of the branch, which is head. It's add frameworks list. And now as we squashed everything, we can reintegrate it back into master by going git checkout master. We're back on branch master, and then we can merge the feature add frameworks list. If I remember correctly, now the problem is that we have the changes, git log. Everything is on master branch here. The problem is that we now have a branch that we don't need. Git branch -a. We don't use remotes here, and I'm not gonna show how to work with remotes, I guess. I think we just don't need it in this during this stream. But yeah, how can you get rid of it? May I ask you, Max, what should we do if there was an merge conflicts during rebasing? You should fix them. Usually you will be... That's such a good question, because usually that's what people struggle with. Let's think about creating this problem, right? Let's do the following. We will, what we're gonna do now, first I will try to remove the feature add frameworks list because we are not gonna need it anymore, and then we'll try to create a situation where we'll have the conflicts between the main branch and the feature branch. So git branch -d feature add frameworks. What? Should remove the branch, yeah. So git branch -D removes the branch. Now, let's create the problem that we are gonna fix. Git checkout B. I'm gonna create a new branch. Git reflog. Okay, it shows you the list of the references. Basically the list of heads. You know what's the problem with the git reflog? I don't use it regularly, so I cannot just explain how it works. I need to work with it more. But let's continue with fixing the merge problems. Let's clear the screen. Let's create a new branch, git checkout B, and let's say we're gonna work on some feature. Add more frameworks to the list. We switch to it, we go to the editor, and then let's say, I don't know, it doesn't really... what can we add here? Ember.js, something quite old. Backbone, jQuery, is merging locally equal to a PR on GitHub? Here we need to talk about the distributed nature of Git. So you, all your colleagues, and GitHub are each holding your own copy of the changes, and you try to synchronize it between each other. So when you do it on GitHub, you do it in the GitHub's version of the copy of your repository. And then it just provides you a nicer interface, and then it does everything that we did here just remotely. And if you do it locally, you need to notify Git that update the master branch, push it to master, and then remove the feature branch that you had locally. And if you pushed it already on GitHub, then remove it remotely as well. So in essence, yes, it's kind of the same. The result should be the same, or you can achieve the same result. But the mechanics of how it works are a bit different. So let's say we add Ember.js, Backbone, and jQuery. And then we do git add, git commit, add more frontend. Let's be more specific. Add Ember, Backbone, and what was it? jQuery. Now we don't do anything yet. We are on the branch add more frameworks where we've created a new commit. Now we go back to master, and we're gonna do kind of similar changes here, but instead of Ember, we're gonna add, help me out, what kind of frameworks would you like to add to this list? Let's add Mithril, Preact, yeah, Preact, Mithril, Stencil. Is it written like this? I'm not sure how it's written. Anyway, we do kind of similar change, but with different values on master branch, or maybe someone else did it and we did not synchronize. We did not know that we're going to work on the same file. In general, it's good if you talk to, yeah, let's add Next.js, why not? It's good that you talk to your colleagues and you let each other know, like, hey folks, I'm gonna work on this file. Is anyone gonna touch it during today or next 2 days? And then you synchronize, you have the expectations of that. Okay, no one is gonna touch it, you can work safely there. And then it's better to just avoid merge conflicts, because sometimes it can be quite obnoxious quite annoying to fix them. Next.js. And here someone decided to, yeah, we need it urgently. Let's say it was a hot fix and someone just added those changes on the master branch. Git add, git commit, add Preact, Mithril, Stencil next. Okay, now we continue to work on our branch. Feature, add more frameworks. Actually, no. We finished the work on our branch and now we want to merge it to master. So we do git merge feature, add more frameworks. Now we should get a merge conflict because we've changed the same lines in 2 different commits in 2 different branches, and now we want to combine them. And Git doesn't know, should it remove the old ones and add the new ones? Because we didn't remove you will see it now, what is gonna happen. Okay, we have conflict. We have conflict in src app.js, and it's also good to just check git status to see what was both modified. Before we can move on, we can see what is going on. Okay, so we have an incoming change, and in this case, when you do normal merge, I think we should also talk about rebasing today. That's important. I think a lot of people are getting confused by this. But when you do a normal merge, then the incoming is quite logical. It's something that you're merging into the main branch. We are now on the main. Wait a second, what did I do? Git status, git merge, yes. Yes. we have current change, and this is what was on branch master in our case, Preact, Mithril, Stencil, and Next.js. And then we have the incoming change. And you can fix it in VS Code, just click whatever it says, or you can do it manually. But doing it manually also implies just changing this file. Let's open it in Vim, just to show you that it's nothing magical here. It's just text. So Git automatically marked what is on the head, and the head is, as I said, the tip of the current branch, the tip of the current, the tip of the current branch. I think this is the easiest way to understand it. Here we have Preact, Mithril, Stencil, Next.js, and then the incoming, and it shows where does it come from. It comes from the feature add more frameworks, our Ember.js, Backbone, and jQuery. And then there are a bunch of options of what you might want to do here. Maybe you want to accept one and remove another. Maybe do vice versa. Or maybe, like in our case, you want to accept all of them. Then you just remove those lines, save the file, do git add, src app.js. You can use git add dot to add everything, but when you merge or rebase, some files might still need to be updated. So I would recommend not doing it. Just add them individually with those commands. And then you can commit to conclude the merge. It automatically creates the merge commit. You see, this is everything that is not starting with the hash sign is gonna be in the commit message. In this case, merge branch, feature, add more frameworks. It makes sense. I'm not gonna change it. Let's say write and quit. Now we're on branch master. We can git log, do the git log, and now we are ahead of the feature add more frameworks by 2 commits. Guess why? First one is our commit that we did on the branch master, where we added Preact, Mithril, Stencil, and Next.js. Second one is where we've merged the changes from the feature add more frameworks branch. But the branch is still there. Merging something means that you take the changes from it and just apply it on another place. It does not alter the original place where the changes came from. That's good to keep in mind. Now if we take a look at git branch results, you'll see that we still have the feature add more frameworks, and it's a good idea to remove the stale branch that we're not gonna need. Git branch -d feature add more frameworks. Let's see what is going on now. Now we don't have any pointers to other branches. Everything is in that is in one branch that we have. Now let's talk again about changing the history. Let's say you were working and you've added a file, let's say it's .env, that you were not supposed to add. And there is some secret, which is 1, 2, 3. I would say that if you did this, you're in trouble. Just remember, never add secrets to repositories. That's not the way they should be managed. But I'm not even sure if I should use this example. Let's say there is some unwanted file, not the secret one. Let's remove this one and just create an unwanted file. Let's create it and then add some values. Let's edit, commit it, and say add unwanted file. And now let's do some other changes. Git add, git commit. Remove some frameworks. Okay, now we have a commit that we would like to get rid of. Again, we can do it using the Git rebase interactive. Git rebase -i. You know what? Let's use the origins here. So I'm gonna create a GitHub repo now to show you what does it mean to change the history. So as I said, everyone, when you are working with Git, and when you're working with Git, everyone has its own copy of the repo. And then you can do whatever you want with it. You can change the history, you can reorder the commits, do whatever you want. But remember that eventually people will have to agree on some version of the code that you're working on. And then if you change the order of the commits and another person will have another order of the commits, you will have the conflict there. And one of you will have to override its changes. So remember this and only do what I'm gonna do now if you're sure that everyone can handle this. And usually it can only be if you are alone working on some feature branch that no one else have pulled yet. Because if someone have pulled your changes and now there is a chance that you're gonna have to merge it and have to synchronize what you have in your branch and your colleague has in his or her branch, then you should not force push. Okay, so I'm gonna create a new repo using the GH tool. If you don't use it yet, I totally recommend. Okay, I don't have a browser window here. Okay, it's easy to Google what is GH. It's a GitHub CLI tool. So the GH repo create. Repository name, Git example, yes. Post description, no. Public, yes, continue. And this way I don't have to go to the GitHub web interface and click around. I can just enter a bunch of commands and be set up. And now I'm setting up a remote called origin, and I'm sending whatever I have in local master branch to the remote. So I'm sort of uploading the initial state of my repo there, specifically the branch master. And also it's setting it up so if I do now git pull, Git knows where to pull the changes from. It is tracking the branch with the same name on remote. But now there are no changes, so it will be, say, already up to date. Okay, now let's say that we want to edit the history. You see, right, that the remote state and my local state are up to date. Git rebase -i head, and I think it was like 1 or 2 commits ago, tilde, let's be safe, let's say 3. Okay, here is this one, add unwanted file. Let's see, can we just remove it? Yeah, we can drop it. So we use drop, or we could just use D. We write the changes. Could not apply git status. Both modified, src up.js. Okay, we have the... I think we accept both changes here. But when you rebase it, when you have conflicts, it's always a risk when you choose what should you do. In this case, I think... What commit are we on? You're currently rebasing branch master on db4defb. It is first several letters of this one at preact mithril stencil and Next.js. Okay, yeah, I think it's fine. Let's add the changes, git, rebase, continue. Yeah, it's fine. Add Ember Backbone and jQuery. And now we do git log. We have the remove some frameworks, add Ember Backbone and jQuery, and we don't have the unwanted file at all. It was removed from the history. But you see what the problem is now, is that if we do git push, it will not allow us. It will say that you cannot just fast forward the changes, because the version of the repo that is on GitHub now, it has this commit, and we don't have it. And Git has no way of telling which version of the repository is correct. What should it do? And then the only way to fix it is either to agree with the remote changes and pull them overriding your changes, but you cannot do it just using the pull command. You will have to do git pull and then something. What you can do here is do git push force, and then it will ignore the problem that we have different changes on the remote, and it will just override it. From now on, if anyone else would will actually pull the master branch and would have to push their changes, it would see the same message as we here. So it's very important to never use git push on branches that are shared, on branches that you work with that you collaborate on with your colleagues. That's crucial. That's very, very, very important. Okay, what would you like to talk else? I think we have what I would like to be able to. I think we have 20 minutes more. Are there any things in Git that you struggle with that I could try to explain? If not, then we could start wrapping up. And how do you learn Git? I would recommend doing it by practice. Like there are so many different commands, and there is also the depth of understanding of Git. So I would first recommend start with simple commands that you use every day, and start to adjust your mental model around Git. Like, how do you understand it? Like, what are staged files? What are commits? Where is it all being stored? Like, if you did not know, Git is actually storing everything in the .git folder. You see, I do git ls.git, and this is the folder that has the refs, logs, the reference to the head. I think it's actually cat. It's a file. Yeah. So start with the simple commands and then just build your competence over the more complex ones gradually. This way you will remember them. And then I myself don't remember all the commands, and like not all the concepts, like reflogs sounds kind of familiar. I probably used it once or twice, but then if you don't use it regularly, you will forget it. So focus on the commands that you will use daily. I would recommend to learn about rebasing. That's very versatile and very important to understand how it works. Maybe we can talk about it some next stream, or maybe you can talk about it now if you want to. I would recommend to learn how to work with stashes. That's very useful. Let's say you have a file. I'm just creating a file, and then you need to check out. No, not like this. Rem another file. Let's say you have some changes, like I removed Svelte, and then I want to check out let's start over. Let's say a feature remove svelte. I remove svelte from here, and then I need to switch to some other branch. And for some reason, like master. What? Okay, they probably are in sync. How do I make the problem of not being able to check out? I want to know the details, and I'm always scared I mess something up. Can you give a specific example of where can you mess something up? First of all, if you do something locally and you don't push to the remote, then it's fine. It's you can always rely on the remote copy to override your changes, so you can be more or less safe. Second, if you screwed up on your own personal branch, then it probably is not a problem either. If other people did not pull it and it didn't cause problems for them, or maybe it's just an unimportant branch, then it's okay. It's important to be very careful with the shared branches like main or develop or something like this, where people collaborate. Then, yeah, you should be cautious about breaking it. So when you have a feature branch, then it is better to use rebase from master, so you will have much more clean history without merging, right? I would say it's also, in general, yes. I prefer to rebase my feature branch on master when I work with it. And rebasing means that instead of taking the changes from the branch you want to synchronize with, you kind of use it as a base for your changes. So let's say, okay, let's do the following. I'm going to answer the remaining questions, and then I'm going to show you what rebase is, and like if other people are interested in, they can also watch. Imagine you're working on a branch and master gets developed further. How can you update the branch you're working on with the updates in the master branch? That's exactly what I'm going to show now. It's rebase. And to me, the best advice was to learn the name. Staged, working tree, branches, then I could Google whatever I need. Okay. The worst feeling is having a problem and not knowing what to Google. Yeah, there is a book that you can just go through. Git. I forgot the name of the book. What is it? There is a book written by Git. I think it's Git SCM. I'm gonna write it in the comments. Git SCM book. So, Matteo, Google this, Git SCM book, and just glance through the chapters. You will get a good overview, the initial understanding of what Git is capable of, and then when you encounter the problem or you want to do something, you will have this memory of like, okay, if I saw this probably can be done, and then you can dive deeper. I would recommend not to try to learn everything at once because it's just too much. Git can do a lot of different things, and you probably won't need all of them, and the problem is that you will keep forgetting them. So it's better if you have a good practical reason to learn something, because then it sticks better. Okay, let's talk about rebasing. There was a good question by Amir. Imagine if you're working on a branch and master gets developed further, how can you update the branch you're working on with the updates in the master branch? That's very, like, it happens every day. That's a very frequent thing to happen. What is going on? We are on master branch and we have the feature remove svelte. Let's go back to feature remove svelte. Let's commit the changes. We remove the svelte from the list here. Remove svelte. And let's say we go back to master. No, first we do git log. And you see, we have one commit in our branch, and for some reason we stopped working, maybe we had some rest, I don't know. And while we were doing this, someone did something in the master or main branch. So we're on the master branch now. What can we do here? Let's, I don't know, let's add a header. Nav, let's add a fragment to wrap everything into it. Yeah, let's add a Nav menu with links. Yeah, I don't know. Let's say we add links. It doesn't really matter what are we doing. Some changes. Home, about, articles. Doesn't matter. So we have some changes in master now. Let's format the document. Let's commit. Add nav. Now we want to go back to our branch and we want to continue working with the changes from the master. So we go back to feature, remove svelte. And now we want to reintegrate the changes in the master because we now have diverged. Git log. Yeah. We do it using the rebase command. It's quite simple. You say git rebase master. And we have a conflict. That's because we've changed the layout quite significantly in the master branch. But what is happening now is that when you started working on remove svelte branch, let's say right now we're on the master, you've created a new branch, you branched off, and you created the commit where you removed the svelte. Then the master have moved forward with another commit and added some changes there. Now with rebase, what you are doing, you're kind of forgetting about your changes in the remove svelte branch, changing the code there to the state of current master with the latest commits, and then reapplying your changes back. This is why it's called rebasing. So let's say the old master that you branched from to this new remove svelte branch was your base branch. Like this is your branch and this is your base branch. The changes that you've started from when you created a new branch. And when it moved forward, you want to rebase, you want to update the base, basically. Is it clear? I hope it is. And then of course you still can get those conflicts because the changes might be quite confusing to Git, so it cannot figure out automatically of what should be done. And now, this is very important and this is very confusing. Look, you remember that I said that it forgets the previous base, changes the state of your branch to the new master or whatever branch you're rebasing with, and your changes now become the incoming. So it sort of is the opposite of like the order of incoming and current becomes flipped. So the current change is actually something that came from master, and this is something that we had on our branch. Even though that we are on this branch, remove svelte, Git thinks that this is the incoming change for the reasons I've explained, because we forget about our changes, create a new base, and reapply our changes. So when we reapply them, they of course become the incoming. And what do we want to do here? This is one of the worst cases because the layout changed significantly and you need to really try to understand what's going on. If you came here and you expected, like, I don't know who I'm talking to right now, but if you came on this stream and you thought, Maxim will explain to me how to resolve conflicts, and it will be some silver bullet, it will be some easy solution that I can apply every day, then unfortunately there is no such thing. Sometimes the merges are hard and you have to talk to your colleagues and ask, did you want this change? Did you really need it? Was it, which one is correct? And you have to combine them manually, like here. I might not be sure if we really wanted to remove svelte, and I have to understand, okay, what happens here? We removed svelte and here we didn't. Let's remove it, and then we can accept the current change. And that's it. Now we kind of combined two changes, but we had to dig into it and we had to read both changes, both the incoming and current, and understand what did we try to do in both of them, and maybe write your own combined solution like we did here. Then we save it, and then we do git status, both modified, blah, blah, blah. We can say git add, because we fixed the conflict. And now we say git rebase, continue. Maybe you will have more conflicts after this. It depends on the amount of commits. In my example, it was only one commit. In your case, it might be more. And I guess that's it. I think we've just talked for 1 hour. Hello from Sweden now, Madoc. Thank you for your comment. Okay, I think we have like last 4 minutes to chat and I need to go do my deeds. I hope it was useful. I hope you've learned something today. If you want to see more videos, then subscribe to the channel, join my Discord server. The link is in the description of other videos. I'm lazy and I forgot to add the link to this video. Yeah. Can you git log now? Yeah, sure. So, as I said, we in the remove svelte branch, we had only one commit, remove svelte. And what happened here is that we've updated the base to be the master. Origin master is a link to the master branch that is stored on GitHub. And you can rebase on this as well. We can talk about, I think it's a good idea to talk about the difference between master, origin master, the remotes, all this kind of stuff, maybe some next time. So, see you some other Wednesday. I'm usually streaming Wednesdays, not every Wednesday. Now I'm quite busy doing the course about React. And so it's like every other Wednesday. So, see you next time. Have a nice day. Have a nice week.